saying the opposite, of course, of what he's been saying, or tweeting, or whatever, shouting perhaps in the walls that the election's been stolen from him. Just listen to what his, his former head of the last transition team, supposedly friend, now former friend, and former Republican governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, had to say on ABC. Listen.
I've been fortunate enough to be on the ballot a number of times myself. I've won, I've lost. And so as a candidate, you're even more invested in the integrity of the system. Right? So if this stuff is going on that the president's talking about, all of us want it ferreted out because it would undercut everything that we believe in our system. But as a prosecutor, that's like asking me to indict someone without showing me any evidence. If you're going to say those things from behind the podium at the White House, it's his right to do it. It's his right to pursue legal action. But show us the evidence. We heard nothing today about any evidence. I want to know what backs up what he said so that I can analyze it. And let me tell you, if he's right, I'll be outraged. I'm sure you would be too.
And if he's wrong?
And if he's wrong, then the American people are going to be able to make the judgment about this election that the results have been fair. And this kind of thing, all it does is inflame without informing. And we cannot permit inflammation without information.
Good line there from Chris Christie. I think it's fair to assume that he won't be getting a Christmas card from Donald Trump this year, or will be invited to what will probably be the last Christmas party of the president in the White House. Because that's the kind of thing the president doesn't like. And I have to say,
President Trump and Joe Biden going into our show. You can also call in shortly, have a local debate. Debate about anything, tell me where you are in the state, province, ethnicity, in the UK. Ladies and gentlemen, this is proclamation in England and Gavin. It's with the prodigious, it's the prominent professor, PNG. Why get involved? We're going to get involved in politics, we know where to start. Party politics, people politics, healthy ecosystem, solution to our environment. Talk about hydropolitics, anything. You want to take part, you want to have your voice heard. You get involved in environmental friendly and stop pollution to business.
Can you hear this tone? Can you hear that better?
All kinds of business, farming, pollution of the air. You want to get involved? How to start? Well, I'll give you a bit of detail. Firstly, please subscribe, share. I want more subscribers, more followers. It's the prodigious, the prominent professor, PNG. How to get involved? Speak to one of your local constituency MPs. I'm a Conservative trainee councillor at the moment. I'm looking at all business, the sociological side of things in business. How does it interrupt in our business? Maybe their business too close to a suburban area in a stage of criminology. Anyway, as a member, if you want to become a member, you can play a key role in the party, supporting the work we're doing in government and contributing the ideas, policies and future of the party. You'll be invited to join us at party conference and to attend local and national events. And if you're just joining us, once you've been a member for 3 months, you can also take part in the party elections. To reduce our environmental impact, we are no longer issuing plastic membership cards. Please be assured that it does not impact your membership. You will never be asked to produce a card to provide your membership. Our members are our most important campaigners. Your support is enabling us to build a bright future. It's only about, I think it's £25 a year. I think it's £2 a month. You pay over a month. You feel you'd like that, have a takeaway at the weekend, or have a takeaway once a week. It's nothing, is it? It's nothing at all. Or go to the pub, spending money on, just cut down the activities. You want to help have your voice heard. It's very important. What your membership gets you, does it get you fish and chips? Well, what's it get you? It's very important to subscribe to Proclamation News and Gavin. It's giving you the key evidence of what's entailed of signing up for a party. I'm Conservative. always say it's bona fide conservative and working on progressive progression. You can help us win elections. All of your subscription goes towards our campaigns. It gets the latest from inside the party. With regular member updates and exclusive member invites. Take part in our campaign groups like our Conservative Women's Organisation, the Young Conservatives, or Conservative Friends. Conservative Friends Group. Meet like-minded people and make a difference to our country. The influence party policy by giving feedback on policy and in the briefs. Choose candidates and vote for leadership elections. So you can choose the people you want to represent you. Come to party conference and spring forum. Join our MPs, councillors and activists at the big events of the Conservative Canada. Connect with local Conservatives as a member. You become part of your local association, support local campaigns, and attend social events with members just like you. So it's being part of something. It's like supporting your local football team, supporting the whole environment. Supporting the government. Being in part of something, it's very important to be part of something. You want to be something, you want to go somewhere, so you need to wake up and pay attention. Stand for election as a member, you have the opportunity to stand for election as a Conservative. So if you decide that you want to take part in that democracy, you can. This is Proclamation News and Gavin with the prodigious Diploma Professor at PNG, ladies and gents. Help share and subscribe. I need more listeners. I put a lot of entertainment onto my YouTube channel, singing, all kinds of entertainment, a bit of comedy. I've had a bit of comedy in the recent past. It's worth following my YouTube channel to get an insight. It's good content. It's good. I've got a lot of segments on my YouTube. Like an entrepreneur as such. I've got singing, rapping, all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to bring a wider audience into my YouTube channel. It should be a YouTube channel with massive gatherings, but not enough subscribers. So the more subscribers, the more benefit is for me. This is a business, a small growing business. It needs to be backed by the exchequer with a big paycheck, and we get this ball rolling. This is Proclamation News and Gavin with a prodigious Diploma Professor. This has been going for over 2 years now. Media studies since 1994, 95, I believe. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me the time of day. Make sure you tune in. I'm going to be following through my live content just shortly. Take care, one love, and speak soon.
Ladies and gents, thank you for being patient there. It's Saturday, the 7th of November, 2020. We've got a lot to get through today, ladies and gents. Thank you all for tuning in. We had a phone caller. We had a great phone caller talking about international relations. India, a big part of distribution, globalization in the UK with the grain, the rice. Rice are massive in the industry of globalization. When people become fascist and racist towards people, xenophobia, I'll talk about it every day. We really need to think outside the box of who you're discriminating, because when you eat your dinner in the evening, you're eating rice. Think about what you said to that bloke down the road being fascist, or, even taking mickey out of their culture. Maybe they follow the Quran, or Islam, and you've been Islamophobic towards their state, their nation. But been fascist. Not fair. Not fair the way you treat people. Treat everyone how you like to be treated. That's what I say. That's my motto. Anyway, ladies and gents, as we move on, it's the capital P in proclamation, capital P in provocation, capital P in persuasive, capital P in punctuation, the capital P in provocative, the capital P in propaganda. Absolutely. Capital P in purity, capital P in progressive, capital P in progression, capital P in philanthropist, capital P in populism. I don't want to be a philanthropist no more. It's about time the exchequer gives me a nice paycheck with an absolute phenomenal show. We're getting people all over the show calling in, university students, hoping to get some more pragmatic, ethical people, quite like-minded like myself, to inform with the politics. We talk about industrialization, globalization, talk about hydropolitics, environment. We talk about environmental pollution, anything you want to come out and call in and think, this is what's happening in my community. We've got a field, young lad, group of young lads going over there on their motorbikes, spilling oil, spilling petrol, making a mess on their scooters, whatever. You know, come to something and have a debate about anything that's going on in your environment. People driving around with the wrong diesel in their car, industrialisation diesel. You should be sticking it in, you know, like i.e. dumpers, tractors, them sort. You know, they're putting it in their vehicle. Anything you want to come to task, you know, talk about environmental friendly. Come call in. Let me know your story. Let me know your story. Anyway, as we're moving on, we've got a lot to get through today. It's been a long, long cast. I've got to be off somewhere about, probably get a phone call about 1:30, and I'll probably have to leave the show. If anyone wants to call in, cast box, please feel free to call in. I've got you people on YouTube. All my callers, it goes through to my YouTube channel. I then what's it called? I'll put it into, you know, I'll go back for the video. I'll get a clipping of the video, take it off, and I'll publicise it. And then you are famous on my proclamation news and gatherings as we're slowly building it up. Anyway, as we're moving on, as I said, we're moving on. We've got think safety, think first, just coming up. Always have the think safety, think first coming up at the start of the show. As you know, that was the etiquette teleological thoughtful process, was to outline constants inside the UK. But we're going to start off with something that might bring a bit more, you know, bring a bit more around the circumference of the people, what they want to hear. Relationship goals on proclamation news and gatherings. Relationship quote. This is written by me. A perfect picture by the prodigious, prominent Professor Johnson. The perfect cover. Do you know when people say the perfect cover? The perfect cover. It's not. It's what's inside the page that counts. No, the perfect cover doesn't need pages. The perfect cover doesn't need pages. They say never judge a book by its cover. That's not true. My motto differs because if we both ain't perfect, I cannot pull the weight of the other one's struggle. It's a team effort of equality. We both have, so we don't have a problem before we start. So you see, you see a perfect cover. You see a nice, smart gentleman. He looks very etiquette in sense. But then some other lady saying it's what's inside the cover that counts. No, not necessarily. Any relationship advice differs from mine. You know, we got Johnny Depp in the frameline at the moment. He's etiquette sense. He's an actor. We don't know anything else. We heard he's a wife beater, but we've only heard. We've not seen. We've heard. In the court, there's only recommendations that he's done stuff and he's heard stuff, but not seen any stuff. Apparently, smashed a bottle, threw a bottle across the room. Someone heard it smash. It's quite likely to be true, but there's no marks, no bruise marks. So how could you get, you know, if a murder's murder, you can find a dead body. If a fight is a fight, someone's going to have a black eye, come away bruises. Bruises on their arm, that's going to scar them for, you know, damage them for life, mentally and physically, on the face. In the arm, if, you know, prior to her, you know, supposedly cutting his finger, this Amber lady, then, come on, lady's cut his finger. He's punched in the arm. He's got black arm, dead arm, for instance. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't dance with the devil, or you get burnt. You know, where's the prioritise? I mean, I see a lady. My friend just put up a thing on Facebook. You see a lady, clear as day, on his camera at work. She went over to him, punched him square in the face. Will she get done for domestic abuse? Probably not, because she's a lady. Because it'd be a cowardly thing for the police to go and arrest a lady for hitting a man. Because she'd say, oh yeah, he shouted at me at breakfast time. He's getting done for domestic abuse. You know, they're not going to do it for domestic violence because he'd drop the case. Always the way, because the man's a coward for putting the woman in the frame. That's what I'm getting at. I'm not trying to put women down, because you know full well I support feminism. I got discriminated on my Facebook for putting this up. I really do support feminism when it comes to equality with an equal pay, equal rights, equal opportunities. Absolutely. I say it time and time again. Anyway, I'll talk about the perfect picture. If any relationship advice differs from mine, if so, you are doing it wrong. A closed book can disguise the imperfections of the past. The present and the future benefit your past actions. Your past is not your fault. Chemistry didn't agree with your actions. So basically, close the book, start again. No one should keep painting you that picture that you once was. You should move on, better yourself, become adequate. Just because that chemistry wasn't right in your previous doesn't mean your future can be better. Close the book. Life is like a bicycle. You got to keep moving. Who's to say your ex-partner was perfect? Against you, being a perfectionist, guided from sin. You know, you brought into her circle, a whole family of drinkers. You got trapped in a love chemistry reaction with the family that drink, and your family don't drink. You look at your mum and dad; they don't drink. You brought up with good manners. You brought up respect, and you get involved in that family. Their whole family drink. You become a villain with the villains. Is what I'm saying. So, I was brought up with manners. I was brought up with respect. I was brought up with passion. I was brought up with pride. I was brought up with vision. I was brought up in the Church of England. I was brought up with morals. I was brought up to gain wisdom. I was brought up to encourage others. I was brought up to be acknowledged. I was brought up to, to tolerate the innocent within society as they may struggle for the unforeseen circumstances. All last year, you see just that. You still see it today. I do this radio. I've over 2,000 listeners, and it's probably reaching out to a lot of hearts in the same situation. I was once in this kind of situation as I'm talking out. I won't say it as a wear my heart on my sleeve today because it's just being etiquette, just moving on. But if it reaches out to you and your past, your previous, I'm so thankful. I was brought up to share love and compassion. I worked in a homeless shelter. I worked in a food bank to support the people with no food, no money. By that money at the end of the month, they need food to survive the next 2 weeks or the last week of the month till they get paid. Last year, I become one of the most valuable people in my community, just like I was saying, being a philanthropist at the homeless shelter, being a civil servant, also a convener facilitator at the local church. I helped my dear friend in her garden, an odd job here and there, as she had a disabled little girl. I help thousands of people weekly via my radio station. My Facebook coverage for my local speeches become even adequate by the day. I said I was part of the aristocracy social elite months ago. I intend to maintain my warranty for many more years as a British influencer. God bless you, English citizens. Thank you so much. That speech will be coming quite frequent. It's one of my scripts that I like to refrain into my show. You want to be a good radio presenter. Yeah, you need good guidance. Making memos is very, very exceptional to make you a better Tony speaker. Anyway, today on Proclamation News and Gavin's, I want the democracy, the listeners, the thinkers, to think outside the box. I want you to think out for safety. Think first. Do not enter your car under the influence of alcohol and narcotics, and especially sleep deprivation. What happens when you enter a car under sleep deprivation? You lose track of the road. You might fall asleep at the wheel going down the motorway or the A12 long roads. It's getting dark at night and you're drifting off like you're in bed at home. I know, because even as a passenger you do, don't you? Make sure you and passengers wear seat safety belts adjacent to the car seat, and babies have car seat adapters adjacent to the car seat. It's down to you, the driver, to make sure your passengers and your baby has a car seat adapter adjacent to the seat, because you, the driver, will get fined. Check for speed limits. Check for traffic road safety signs, speed cameras. Look out for further road safety signs and signals. So check for further road police safety signs and signals. If they ask you to pull over, just pull over. Be professional about it. Pull over. Also, check your centre and side mirrors before turning to a safe, sufficient directional choice or overtaking. Don't just get in a car, no insurance, no license, and think, yeah, this is what you need to, we need to preach it to kids, because young kids, young adults are killing innocent old people that are retiring. Do they deserve to get run over? Do they deserve to get hit by the stupidity of the youth today? Check your engine before takeoff for engine oil and your engine coolant tank for water. Make sure they're topped up to minimum level, in between minimum and maximum. Possibly, it'd be better if it is maximum. But keep topping it up so it is maximum. Check your PSI limits. Make sure you have sufficient air pressure in tyres. Check your tyre treads are at legal limits and your MOT is updated. This is proclamation news and Gavins back at its best. So make sure you stay tuned. Why do you have to do all them 10 steps? You know, Jesus give you the 10 commandments. Proclamation news and Gavins just give you the 10 commandments before you enter the road. What are you going to do about it? You can listen. You can take it on board. You can think about how you're going to end. You know, plan your route to this destination to avoid congestions as well. Absolutely. Also, another good thing: make sure you got plenty of fuel because if you get stuck in congestion, check your A to Z map and checking there's no roadworks, road incidents. You could be stuck in traffic for a long time. So your 30 miles of fuel you put in, £20 or whatever it cost you to go 30 miles, and you're stuck in traffic for 2 hours because there's a road incident, that could cost you money and fuel if you don't turn your engine off. Anyway, this is why you should think safety, think first as we go on to the next 3 episodes. Because I have the democracy heart at 4 all the time. I don't even drive. You don't drive. Why should you care? Because I do care. I want people to support me as I want to support you listeners. I want you listeners to get involved, and I want you to listeners to think this, let's preach this to the youth for today. This is where it's all going wrong on the UK roads. Mum's awake up from 3 month. Bear with me a minute. Mum's awake up from 3 month coma after car crash. She discovers she is pregnant. Gemma Holmes from Wiltshire lost all memory of 3 years of her life after car crash, including the identity of the dad of the unborn child, and she had no idea she was pregnant. This was on the 5th of November recorded. How terrible is that? So this could have been, I don't know, I'm not going to read further just yet, but this could have been an innocent driver under the influence of alcohol or narcotics. It happens everywhere all over the globe. A woman who was in a terrifying car crash woke up in a coma to discover she was pregnant. This is your wife or your sister. Gemma Holmes, 33, was involved in a collision on her way to work when she was just 4 weeks pregnant and put in an induced coma. Doctors told her, worried parents, she had a small chance pulling through and then broke the news that she was also expecting a baby. Gemma suffered horrific injuries, including a broken back, and she lost all memory of the previous 3 years of her life, including the identity of the dad of her unborn child. When the former carer came around, she was stunned when the medics revealed to her that she was at least 11 weeks pregnant. Gemma defied the odds and gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Reuben, now 7 on May. She was told she wouldn't be able to walk again, but defied doctors and learned to take her first steps alongside the little boy. Gemma from Trowbridge, well, you've just been through all of this, died and everything, but you're still pregnant. It's like, oh my God, how does this happen? You broke nearly every bone in your body, and the only thing she hasn't broken is the womb and the baby. That is phenomenal. Part, the baby is still born. It's a miracle for the baby, but horrific for the mother. And such a sad story to not taking my 10 commandments. I was like, what? It's up to dream of giving birth to a little boy. So it was like, what? I even questioned myself today, how did that happen? I died twice, but he's still alive inside of me. I don't get it. They said to me, you've got a week to decide if you want to keep the baby because we can't do anything after the 12 weeks. I was like, no way, of course, I'm going to keep him. Are you joking? It was just instant. He's here for a good reason. I was excited. I couldn't wait to meet him. He kicked me loads, letting me know he was in there. Jem won in relationships with the father of Ash, her moped, to the back of a parked car while driving to work on September. This happened in 2013, but it's still giving you what happens on the roads. There is some updates coming in the road incidents, but it doesn't matter about road incidents if they're new, they're old, if they're coming from tabloid newspapers, if they're coming from broadsheet newspapers. It's still what's happening on the roads, and it's still everyone should be taking the Ten Commandments usefully. She didn't know she was pregnant at the time and was rushed to French A Hospital in Bristol. Julie Brown, 59. She was pregnant, and the family waited for her to wake up. They broke the news, and to her, and she had to wait until she'd given birth to Reuben, until she could have major surgery on her back. Over the years. Next partner, we've got a lot to get through, ladies and gents. Thank you all. She crashed into a road. A fly could have got in her visor. You know, I'm not going to sit here and mock a driver on a moped on the road. A car in front of her, and she had to pull over. Who knows? The road's a busy road. No one's taking full consequences. And how can we point fingers at a moped or visual evidence that she is out of her fault totally? So I can't write that off. I can't write the story off. I'm not going to write an innocent lady that is still a hero to the being a mother to her son. She's still a hero to be a mother to her son. You know, it's the same as I've got to treat everyone the same. Callers coming in, I get callers from all over the globe. Some could be quite irrational to me. I've got to keep calm. If people come on my thing, my show, they don't take a liking to me. They can be prejudiced towards me or hatred towards me. They can be English and be hatred towards me. I'm pretty sure I've got loads of old school friends that like to come on my show and put me down. It's just the way the world works. Not everyone's nice and amicable and reciprocated like us lot. Some people want to come and tackle me and try to put me down, but you know, we just have to ignore them. Hate crime is not very good. Cyberbullying, keyboard warriors, and arrogant people. Anyway, kind-hearted teen killed in car crash. Police called to attempt burglary is pictured. Police had been called to an attempted burglary in Ambleside, Stourbridge, just after 6 p.m. on Tuesday, and followed a Volkswagen car that crashed at Wakefield Road. A teenager who was killed in a car crash as police were called to attempt burglary has been named locally as Shay Marlowe. Police had been called to an attempted burglary in Albonside, Stourbridge, just after 6 p.m. on Tuesday, and followed a Volkswagen car that crashed in Wakefield. Tributes have been paid to the 16-year-old Shay, who was described as a kind-hearted, funny boy. A GoFundMe page was set up for Shay, said he was a caring, polite young love, Shay Marlowe. Such a young, polite boy. Always said hi, and with a cheeky smile on his face. My heart is with his family. Devastating. Rest in peace, young boy. Shine bright up there in heaven. Was it him that done the attempted murder? Or was it the car? The car was followed. Tuesday had followed a Volkswagen car and crashed into Wakefield. Robin Chambers added, absolutely heartbroken over the news. Rest in peace, Shay Marlowe. One of the most kind-hearted boys I knew. Sending my... I'm trying to get the gist. Anyway, I've got to move on with the news. 2 fire engines and a technical response unit from Stourbridge and Ashton-under-Lyne fire stations were called to road traffic collisions involving a one vehicle on Wakefield. The incident has been referred to GMP's Professional Standards Branch, IOPC. Would you like to call in, Courtney? I've got a lot of listeners on YouTube. Would love. Oh, you're on the bus. Okay, then, Courtney. Call in. How long are you on the bus for? Once you get on the bus, give us a call in. We had a guy from India calling yesterday, really helping the show move forward. If I get callers calling in, Marilyn Woods, if you'd like to call in. Anyone that's on Castbox listening, please call in. Oh, okay. Yeah, when you get off the other end of the bus, Courtney, please call in. It'd be good to hear on the show. Got loads of listeners. Would love to hear a lot of families, kids getting bullied, obese, and they can't get, in the sports team, for instance. He wants to do 100 meters, but he looks at all the other kids, very athletic, very, been brought up. I say what you are when you're born, aren't you? You're either ectomorph, endomorph, mesomorph. Um, you are that people off. Just load up the new news. Children also get bullied at home. Yes, children do get bullied at home. They get bullied by, yeah, vocal parents. Vocal at the kids. Get to your room. They've had enough of their children shouting. You hear them in the town centre, in the city centres. Mothers dragging their kids along the road, and fathers. I'm not writing fathers off. I'm not just putting mums down. Anyway, UK politics. What's your thoughts on Bojo? I mean, anyone in the deep end at the moment, everyone's going to write you off. Doesn't matter what politician it is. But Boris, as a whole, before he went into this pandemic, he's putting more NHS staff, more police, bigger infrastructure was becoming more accredited. More accredited. We can attack more illnesses, but now we've got this coronavirus. Coronavirus is absolutely real. My friend's mum and dad just died of COVID-19. I shouldn't be saying this on radio because I hope they're not hearing. Um, it's real. It is really real. My friend got it as well. My piano friend. I said he is almost dead, laying there in bed. He couldn't move. It's really real. Courtney's never a fan of boys. Where you from? Where you from, Courtney? A lot of people listen to. I mean, politicians. People say they lie. They promise you they're going to fund this, fund that. No one. We don't actually see the money physically because it probably goes to the main, the government sector. So they're going to put, I don't know, 100,000 billion into the acting world. We're not going to see it. The actors are not going to see it because it can go into the academics of the thing, isn't it? They bigger, better halls, better training facilities. We don't see the 100 billion money. It's even in, I think it's Ireland. Was it Ireland? They've got acting industry over there. The filming, they put X amount of money in there. You don't see the money. You see it, obviously the shows on TV getting developed, but you don't see where the money goes. So it does sound, the outsiders looking in at politics, they're lying. They're lying. Because I've seen it firsthand. Not the money, but I've seen politics firsthand. Boris Johnson, deal to be done on the post-Brexit EU trade. I mean, I'm investigating the social world at a minute as well. I'm looking at all different aspects of life, all the globalisation. I'm looking at hydropolitics. I'm looking the governance of the sovereignty of the whole of the land. 30 in our UK, 30,000 feet high. I think it's 300 miles offshore we own as well. That's what we own as a domain of the UK. Our governance of our sovereignty of our land. 30,000 feet high. That's what we own. If you get any, obscene hovercrafts or helicopters or planes flying over our sky, we don't know. Obviously, it's not going to be tourists in a plane because they're all registered, either Turkish Airways or whatever airways are coming in, Hawaii Airways. It's all registered. It's all registered for a tourist company flying in. And obviously, if another, say, president's coming over from India, it's going to be recorded, either phone through to the mayor or whatever, or the sergeant in arms. It's going to be recorded there on route, so we know who's coming in, we know who's going out. But if there's an object we don't know who's coming in, that could be a threat. Could it be blown out of the sky? Who knows? But that's why a lot of wars happen, so you know. Anyway, Boris Johnson has said he believes there is a deal to be done on post-Brexit trade with the EU. But while the UK Prime Minister very much hopes to come to an engagement, he said that country was very well prepared to move on without one. Oh, from Scotland, yes, that's I totally agree with you. But Courtney, Scotland, I'll tell you what, I do like Nicola Sturgeon. As much as you don't like Boris, I like Sturgeon. But Boris is my first choice, and well, Conservative is my first choice. At a minute, I'm quite happy with Boris where he is, and hopefully Rishi Sunak, if Boris does step down in a few months, like he said. I'm hoping he doesn't. Mr. Johnson made the comments ahead of the call with the EU Commission. President Ursula von der Leyen on Saturday, the National Audit Office has warned of significant disruption when the Brexit transition period ends. I like Sadiq Khan. I like James O'Brien. I'm not, I'm not a great fan of the Labour formation, but I do like Sadiq Khan and James O'Brien. I might not like Sir Keir Starmer. Yeah. Conservative is not. They're not massive in Scotland. I think, but she's got a bit of, she's bit of business going on with Nicola Sturgeon and Boris Johnson. They get on quite amicably reciprocated. She's diplomatic. She's SNP Scotland. That's final. They're they're independent. Anyway, the UK left the EU on the 31st of January and entered the transition period, counting to follow the many EU rules. While trade deal was negotiated, but while both sides said a deal needed to be done in October, they have yet to come to an arranged agreement, and talks between negotiating teams have intensified. The transition period is due to come to an end on the 31st of December, meaning the UK would trade with EU on World Trade Organization rules, meaning tariffs are imposed if a deal is not in place. Critics say this could cause damage to the UK economy, but the government insists the country will prosper with or without a deal. Well prepared. Earlier this week, both the UK and the EU chiefs trade negotiators warned of a wide and serious divergences between the two sides. Sticking points including fishing rights, competition rules, and how a deal would be enforced. Asked on Friday if UK can get a deal in the next 10 days, Mr Johnson said, I very much hope that we will, but obviously that depends on our friends and partners across the channel. I mean, Boris is being a bit, like I said, being a bit like Nicola Sturgeon is, diplomatic. He's taking charge of our politics. If he went, yeah, we take a deal on their terms, then, he's been a yes man. He's been a yes man. We don't want a yes man in charge. He wants to have the deal on his terms. If I said to you, I've got a BMW, in a new BMW, I want 5 grand for it. You come in. Will you take 4,500? I'm taking your terms. You're weakening my knees. You're weakening my politics. You're weakening my policy. You're weakening our agreement. The agreement's 5,000. You're coming from driving down 70 miles, and then you're going to say, "Oh, I've come 70 miles. Will you take £500 off?" No, the deal's a deal. Take the deal or leave it. I know about the World Trading Organization. It's cheap tax. Everything that's come from India, China, doing distribution to them. We've got cheap, very very cheap, untaxable goods coming across the water. We're going with the EU. It's pretty. You go to Spain, everything's pretty much the same price as what it is here. Go Italy, everything's the same price as what it is. Go to France, everything's the same price as what it is here. Anyway, I think there's a deal to be done if they want to do it. If not, the country is, of course, very well prepared. As I've said before, we can do very well with the Australian terms without a deal. If that is what we have to go for. Thomas Byrne, Ireland's First Minister of European Affairs, said the talks up to this point between the EU and the UK's negotiators, Michael Barron and David Frost, have been difficult, with big issues still remaining. He told BBC's Radio 4's Today programme, I personally don't expect that there would be a major progress today. 2 seconds, I'll be with you. But at the same time, I think it'd be very good that they are talking. I think that's really positive, but I'm not sure they would expect a moment at this point. Mr. Byrne would also ask if there could be a new dynamic decision between the UK and the EU if Joe Biden was elected US president, saying it was certainly possible. Mr. Biden, who has Irish roots, said in September that they would not allow peace in Northern Ireland to become a casualty of Brexit. If he was elected president. Do you think it will be harder for the UK to get an easy deal with USA if Biden wins, or do you think it will pose some problems? Yeah, I've got a funny feeling that might pose some problems, Courtney, just because I think Boris is a bit more President Trump. I think it's going to be a bit hard for him to work with Joe Biden, to be honest. I think it's going to be a bit hard for him to work with Joe Biden. You make a good, companionship in a French president. So that's a massive, substantial amount, and they're going to let Joe Biden take charge. Well, if Joe Biden takes charge and he starts going backwards over his 4-year, 5-year term they're elected, 5-year term he gets elected and he loses that 100,000. He only boosts the economy by 100,000 billion. That's a big loss to what President Trump done. Miss Burns said he's very clear in his suggestion and statement on the 16th of September that any trade deal between the US and UK must be contingent on respect for the Good Friday Agreement and preventing the return of the hard border. Just before we go into what happens if Trump loses, if Trump loses this debate, I think we're going to find out possibly today or tomorrow. Biden ain't got many more votes to go to hits his mark, but it still could go either way. Could go either way. But is Trump going to leave the building quietly? Is Trump going to leave the building quietly? That's what we want to know. Is Trump going to leave the building in a quiet, amicable sense? What are your views? Do you think Trump on this? Trump's probably a bit scared for his life because he might have vendettas looking for him as he comes out. Oh, we are still. I thought I lost visual on my YouTube then, guys. I'm on YouTube as well, Courtney. So if you ever do call in, you'll find us on YouTube. This is the stance we're looking at Trump before he got elected. Trump before he got elected in October. This is the week before the election day, 2020. Democrats have a variety of worries and anxiety from the possibilities of President Donald Trump managing to win enough to swing states to pull off a narrow electoral college victory to Trump prematurely claiming victory before all the votes are counted to the Republicans trying to steal the election via the courts and their army of attorneys. But want to find out, the root of the election. We're going back to the beginning. The liberal Washington Post opinion writer Greg Sargent in October 26 column lays out 5 possible scenarios if Trump might agree to leave in the White House quietly if Biden wins. Sargent starts out his column by quoting Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, who recently warned there will never be peaceful transition over power under Donald Trump. We already know Trump hopes prematurely to declare himself winner while invalidating millions of mail ballots, which could unleash a sustained post-election struggle. Sargent argues, but if you squint, you can discern various scenarios in which Trump ends up going to quietly, or relatively so. Assuming for now that Joe Biden wins, here are 5 such possibilities. Sargent writes, Biden wins by a landslide. To be laughable, a landslide win is unlikely. Sargent writes, Trump is still narrowly favoured in Texas and Georgia, but as Harry Entner notes, Biden is closer to winning places like that, and then Trump is winning in Michigan and Wisconsin, which makes a landslide as plausible as Trump victory. If so, there would be no possibility that post-election litigations in, say, Pennsylvania could rescue Trump. and large swaths of Trump supporters might accept the inevitable, leaving no support base for holding out. Sargent's second possibility is that Biden wins Florida on election night, because Florida's voting rules permit mail ballots to be counted well in advance of election day and election night. Call there is likely. Sargent explains this means avoiding a scenario in which Trump declares himself winner, even as enormous numbers of the mail ballots remain outstanding in key states. Since has no plausible path without Florida, it would probably mean a winner is called on election night. On Sargent's list, Biden wins Arizona and runs strong enough the Rust Belt, and is a vote by the mail that goes well in Biden's in Pennsylvania. Once the Amy Coney Barrett is seated on the Supreme Court, Sargent notes Republicans will try to overrule a lower ruling, allowing for counting of absentee ballots that arrive after Election Day. Early voting has been explosive in Pennsylvania. Nearly 1.5 billion have already voted by mail there. That is plausible late arriving ballots might not be pivotal. The fifth and final item on Sargent's list is Fox News behaves responsible. Fox News decision desk is one area of the network that is reportedly immune pressure from Trump and his propagandists. Sargent argues so that it is plausible that the Fox might call for election against Trump before he and his supporters are willing to surrender. If Fox News decision desk handles this responsible, educating viewers about the realities of Trump's pending loss, it could be badly cripple such efforts in the minds of his supporters. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch has predicted a landslide win for Biden, much to the chagrin of the many Trumpsities who felt betrayed. Sargent concludes his column by hoping that Biden doesn't occur on election day. None of this meant to sound sanguine about avoiding serious bedlam. Writes all kinds of terrible outcomes in the courts remain possible and does serious violence, but there are ways this could end with a relative whimper and a barrage of all caps tweets as opposed to something far worse. And there's one way to make these scenarios more likely. Vote is enormous enough to make numbers to make them happen. Trump has already joked about defying 2020 election results. Watergate prosecutor issues dire warning about Trump's re-election. Trump has a lot to fear, and he won't leave office quietly. Alternate. We need a plan in case Trump loses in November, but Trump's own officials are terrified about what he'll do on the day after election. Biden says he's confident Trump will leave the office if he loses. Pelosi says Trump will leave the White House in to 2020 election. Opinion: will Trump ever leave the White House? This is from the New York Times. Election 2020. Will Donald Trump leave the White House if he loses? What if Trump leaves the White House? The Atlantic. It's 2,000 reasons people are listening to Proclamation News and Gatherings. I get 2,000 listeners a week on Proclamation News and Gatherings. You know, it's good to come and show your support, give me some acknowledgement and encouragement. Soon I'm going to do a GoFundMe page, guys. I put a lot of effort. If you could spare the shortest of change, because, you know, I'm not being thingy here, but, you know, I put a lot of time and effort. If someone can spare even something as small as 50p, 20p, I've got to get new equipment eventually. My laptop's going to burn out. I always get a new phone because I upgrade it, so that's not a big deal. But a new laptop once in a blue moon. I'm not asking for massive change. If I get 2,000 listeners and 10 of them go each 50p each over a term, that will help me afford new materials, better, you know, talking about better quality, bigger, better establishments. I'm open. I'm not asking you break your back to put money in my pocket. That's not what I'm on about. Just to help a small change every now and then. Once in a blue moon. Once in a blue moon. Not every day, not every week, not every month. Once a year, perhaps, if you enjoy the show. I've got 20 listeners on my Castbox now. I've had over 6 listeners on my YouTube already. Podbean has been on for an hour. A total of 17 listeners on there. That's just in this 1 hour. And with Castbox, people coming in and out, it could double. So who knows? Anyway, before we move on, I need a quick breather. We're gonna go a breather. Then we've got 3 more. We've got Kanye West, COVID-19 lockdown, and Boris Johnson talking about COVID just shortly. Bear with me, ladies and gents. It's going to be a great show. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony, for being a loyal listener, loyal customer coming in. Courtney, thank you so much for the heart.
It's with the prodigious, it's a prominent professor at PNG. Why get involved? You want to get involved in party politics, people politics, help the ecosystem, solution to our environment. Talk about hydro project, anything. You know, you want to take a part. You want to have your voice heard. You want to get involved in environmental friendly and stop pollution to businesses, such as all kinds of business, farming, pollution of the air. You want to get involved. How to start? Well, I'll give you a bit of detail. Firstly, please subscribe, share. I want more subscribers, more followers. It's the prodigious, the prominent professor at PNG. How to get involved? Speak to one of your local constituency MPs. I'm a Conservative trainee councillor at the moment. I'm looking at all business, like the sociological side of things. How does it interrupt in our business? Maybe their business too close to a suburban area in a state of criminology. Anyway, as a member, if you want to become a member, you can play a key role in the party, supporting the work we're doing in government and contributing the ideas, policies and future of the party. You'll be invited to join us at party conference and to attend local and national events. And if you're just joining us, once you've been a member for 3 months, you can also take part in the party elections. To reduce our environmental impact, we are no longer issuing plastic membership cards. Please be assured that this does not impact your membership. You will never be asked to produce a card to provide your membership. The members are our most important campaigners. Your support is enabling us to build a bright future. It's only about, I think it's £25 a year. I think it's £2 a month. You pay over a month. You feel you like that, have a takeaway at the weekend, or have a takeaway once a week. Nothing, is it? It's nothing at all. Or go to the pub. Spending money on, just cut down the activities. You want to help your voice heard. It's very important. What your membership gets you, I mean, it doesn't get you fish and chips, but what's it get you? You know, it's very important to subscribe to Proclamation News and Gatherings, giving you the key evidence of what's entailed of signing up for a party. I'm Conservative. I always say it's bona fide Conservative and working on progressive aggression. You can help us win elections. All of your subscription goes towards our campaign. It gets the latest from inside the party. With regular member updates and exclusive member invites. Take part in our campaign groups like our Conservative Women's Organisation, the Young Conservatives, Conservative Friends Group. Meet like-minded people will make a difference to our country. The influence party policy by giving feedback on policy and in the briefs. Choose candidates and vote for leadership elections, so you can choose the people you want to represent you. Come to party conference and spring forum. Join our MPs, councillors and activists at the biggest events of the Conservatives Canada. Connect with local Conservatives as a member. You'll become part of your local association, support local campaigns and attend social events with members just like you. So it's, being part of something, it's like, supporting your local football team, supporting the whole environment. supporting the government. It's being in part of something. It's very important to be part of something. You want to be something. You want to go somewhere. So you need to wake up and pay attention. Stand for election as a member. You have the opportunity to stand for election as a Conservative. So if you decide that you want to take part in that democracy, you can. This is Proclamation News and Gavin with the prodigious Common Professor at PNG, ladies and gents. Help share and subscribe. I need more listeners. You know, I put a lot of entertainment onto my YouTube channel, singing, all kinds of entertainment, a bit of comedy. I've had a bit of comedy in the recent past. It's worth following my YouTube channel to get an insight. What's, you know, it's good content. It's good. I've got a lot of segments on my YouTube. You know, like an entrepreneur as such. You know, I've got singing, rapping, all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to bring a wider audience into my YouTube channel. It should be a YouTube channel with massive gatherings, but not enough subscribers. So the more subscribers, the more benefit is. I mean, this is a business, a small growing business. It needs to be backed by the exchequer with a big paycheck, and we get this ball rolling. This is Proclamation News and Gavin with a prodigious Common Professor. This has been going for over 2 years now. Media studies since 1994, 95, I believe. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me time of day.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. What do you make of Kanye West trying to get into politics? It's like me getting into politics, isn't it? I was a boxer. Everyone knows me as a brute force boxer. I wasn't a brute force boxer. I done it as an etiquette sense, sensible sense. I didn't go down, stand the unlicensed boxing or amateur boxing. I went down the etiquette sense as a professional boxer. It was a bit of a ludicrous thing to do. I had a brain injury in 2000. Yeah, I mean, once you give up something, anything, it's an activist role, isn't it? He was doing it. He's a rapper. He's known as a backstreet rapper, Then he got in the hits, got in the charts. Kanye West, grimy music. Now he's doing politics. Tupac, his music, it's quite political. Listen to the music, listen to the songs, the words in the songs, they're quite political. Some of their songs are very, I know there's a lot of suburban words, suburban dictionary, backstreet talk, if you like, quite abruptness, but really, academically, the words subscribed, it's all political. It's all about the suburban areas they brought up, you can hear their cry for help, cry for support. I mean, I've read Charles Dickens' book, Ebenezer Scrooge. I mean, if you ask me, I know about 3 years ago about the book, I said it's about Ebenezer Scrooge getting haunted by ghosts. Didn't like Christmas. It's just an old grumpy old bugger. Didn't like Christmas. He's like one of our great granddads sitting there. Oh, Christmas again, blooming flaming kids under my feet. You can imagine, can't you? But actually, it's not. The book of the Christmas Carol is about Ebenezer Scrooge, was a debt collector. His mate Marley. Open the first page. His mate Marley. I remember this. His mate Marley, dead as a doornail. His mate Marley died, so his ghost comes on haunting. That ghost was his mate Marley, looking over his shoulder. He's haunting it day in, day out. But the book wasn't about just Ebenezer Scrooge being a debt collector. His nephew come to his house. He didn't like Christmas because he lost his mate Marley. He lost his mate Marley, his business partner. He lost everything. It's this sort of time, what we're going through now, a public austerity, was happening back then when Charles Dickens wrote that book. It's about thinking what the narrator is aiming at. Because when I sing a song, my songs relate to everything that's going on in the precise moment. I've written a song. I do write some songs just comical, just for the sake of writing a song, and they are quite, they're quite scripted. I've written songs like of my life happenings. I don't know if you heard me singing H to the E to the R to the T to the F to the O to the R to the D SHIRE, Hertfordshire is where I'm at. That song was everything I was going through. I was a homeless shelter worker. I was a convener facilitator. I was a food bank support worker. The song is really quite, really good. I don't know why it's not out in the charts. I don't know how to get promoted. Once I get my YouTube channel up and running, I've had 2,500 listeners. Exit from Brexit or the EU. It's all to do with politics. It's the thoughtful process. That's when you see the characteristics in someone. When Charles Dickens wrote that book about the Christmas Carol, it's about children going through public austerity at Christmas. They're having a bad Christmas because their families can't afford Christmas presents. Remember that the townhouses in London, the 3 stories, we got them in the seaside, on the seafront. They got in the cellar, they got their kitchen, next floor, so their living room, then there's bedroom, and then on top of that there'd be we call it the penthouse suite, where your parents will be up the top. You got your kids' bedroom next level, then you got could have your kitchen next level is your dining room, and down the bottom is your kitchen in the cellar. But that's what their families are like. Then it really poor. They couldn't afford Christmas. They couldn't afford Christmas. Couldn't afford food on a plate for their children. That story that Charles Dickens wrote was about Christmas going for public austerity. This year should be another book like Charles Dickens having Christmas as a public austerity due to COVID-19. There should be another Charles Dickens out. I could be that Charles Dickens if I sat and wrote a story. Unfortunately, I've got my academic integrities to think about. I've got a bit of time over Christmas, but I'm going to spend a couple of days out with loved ones, family. For 4 years, I've 4 or 5. No, this would be my 5th year if I didn't go and visit my family on my own, stuck in a room without my children. I'm not going to be with my children this year, but that step closer academically, not financially, but you don't have to be financially, um, you don't have to be financially financed. You don't have to be financially financed to be in love with the aesthetics of life, enjoying life. You can enjoy life with zero money. As you can see, I'm sitting here comfortably. I'm sitting here enjoying my show. You guys, Courtney, you able to call in yet before I move on? Before we get into the Kanye West, I was talking about Kanye West. That's why I went Charles Dickens. Like Kanye West is a similar sort of. He's a narrator of his own singing. He narrates his voice. It's like me sitting here. How I produce myself. I'm narrating my voice to the audience. I want the audience to think, yeah, he's touching the hearts, but he is talking absolute adequate sense. Because as a radio presenter, I can't just not have no emphasising. I've got to have a bit of a ground game, haven't I? Anyway, Kanye West election. How many votes did Kanye West get? US election 220. How we don't know still who the next US president will be, but we do know who it won't be. Kanye West. 43-year-old rapper has conceded after his self-styled birthday party collected just 60,000 votes out of an estimated total of 160 million. Like Courtney is saying, he's jumped in the deep end. He was you could say he's a political rapper, if you like, or underground rapper, urban rapper, whatever you want. But like she said, he's jumped from one thing to another, and he expects to be voted as president. It's not me. I mean, I've only just got into the game pretty early. I've been in media studies since a kid, but I didn't follow it all the way through from child till now. I'm supporting, kind of on the backbench. I want to move forward, get inside the chamber. So I've got definitely got some good validation. I think people have seen my, heard my stories, seen what they've seen my petitions, seen my ideas of banning knife crime. Is it that easy to do what I suggested? Possibly not, but it's still a good idea, and you can't take that away from me. I'm not stupid, that's for sure. Another independent libertarian, Joe Jurgensen, made a much stronger showing, claiming more than 1.5 million votes. But the West political career may not be over yet. He tweeted Kanye 2024. this week signalling another bid to come. In his first presidential attempt, West appeared on the ballot in 12 states, missing the filing deadline in most others. He gathered the most votes in 10,188 in Tennessee, a state that typically favors Republican candidates. When he announced his candidacy in July, West had said that his platform was modelled of the Wakanda, the fictional kingdom from Black Panther. Ending police brutality was a priority. He told Forbes in an interview, as was cleaning up chemicals in our deodorant, in our toothpaste, and focused on protecting America with its great military. Absolutely. I don't know why they got guns legalized in America. So dangerous, isn't it? I mean, you think we're up against sporadic knife crime. Very rarely hear of a gun crime. I know it happens, but very rarely the guns get in the hands of metropolitan lunatic asylums. Very rarely you hear knife crime sporadically over the UK. America is gun crime every day. Every day you wake, someone's been shot in America. Think being a policeman here, they've got a hard job, but in America, it's something out of this world. It's really ludicrous. You know, you got to take yeah. I mean, I'll take hat off to our policemen. I take my hat off to our policemen that what they have to put up with. Working in a homeless shelter, seeing what goes in there, seeing what they're infected with before they go in the homeless shelter. You know, these are alcoholics. Some are ex-alcoholics, but they still got that switch. You know, they've got that switch where they can turn on sixpence. I worked there and I had a couple of them. I thought, I've done my security, but I've got to take off doors for obvious reasons. Um, being an ex-professional boxer, me working a door, working around alcohol, which alcohol is not a good thing for my ecosystem and my my temple. My body is my temple. So yeah, alcohol's not good for me at all. So yeah, me working a door, me working man in his home shop, I had to come away from that in the end because I could feel myself. I hate alcohol. I hate alcoholics. I can't get mid around it. Why would you take your life to alcohol? I know some people are bullied by it, and some people can't see no way out, and they have to go that way. But why? That's why I always question why. And why the party game? Because when we win, it's everybody's birthday party, he said. But West candidacy was a subject of much criticism and concern about his health. I mean, you look at there's always someone worse off than alcoholic. There's children born back no family, and they don't turn to alcohol. They turn to the best musicians or the best something. They've got their mind switched on in life. At a rally in Charleston, South Carolina, meant to officially launch his campaign, the star made several bewildering rants. At one point, saying in the 19th century, a abolitionist Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She just had the slaves go to work for other white people. West later began crying when talking about abortion, saying his parents almost aborted him and that he had previously wanted to abort his daughter. Courtney, if you're still here, do you want to call in shortly? The rapper disclosed last year for had bipolar disorder and his wife. Kim Kardashian West posted on social media Amity's one asking for compassion and empathy for the West, whose world sometimes do not align with his intentions, and posts on Twitter by West urging followers to write his name in the ballots and for President incited criticism that he was effectively shipping votes away from legitimate candidates. Mr. Jurgensen, on the other hand, staged a more controversial independent campaign, making stops across the country to rally supporters seeking endorsements and pushing their platform, guided by the top libertarian principles, small government and individual freedom. If, say, for instance, Kanye West did win the vote because he had good political sense in his music. I mean, being a prime minister, he's got all the other, he's got, he's got all other ministers underneath him. He's a prime minister, he's the main minister. He's got other prime ministers underneath him, so he's going to be getting, he's going to be getting prompted of ideas while he's as prime minister. Same as the prime ministers, now. President Trump probably wasn't as phenomenal as he was till he had other ministers working with him, giving him other ideas. Because when you get given ideas, like I say, write memos, your speech becomes more etiquette with sense. I'm coming to the table with a political formation. I want to spring out some philosophy. And let me think of one. Anti-disestablishment of terrorism will fawn upon the horizon if we don't stop this scrutiny to our unity. We need the UK to act now. You know, you got to think of something that's going to enhance the audience. Such these big words. I can string a lot of big words together. You know, I talk about xenophobia, fascist. Ethos is a word. You know, we shouldn't be mixing our multiculturalism and arguing against one another. Stop being prejudiced to one another. Treat each other how you like to be treated. See, I could go on all day because I'm academically functioned. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Kanye West would be the same sort of person in charge because he writes his own songs. A person who writes his own songs can write poems, can write poetry, can write philosophy. And that's all it takes to be a prime minister. You ain't got to go and mend someone's. You ain't got to go and be a mechanic to someone's car. You ain't got to go and lay bricks. You just got to be a voice over the other electors. 63-year-old psychology lecturer at Clemson University was the first female libertarian nominee for president and earned the second most votes of any libertarian nominee in history. According to the Associated Press, libertarian parties' baseline votes will continue to grow. Ms. Jurgensen said in a statement, "The only way Democrats and Republicans can keep us down is by adopting our libertarian policies." This libertarian party formed in the US in the 1970s, but the nominee has never won the presidency. Of the president's candidates, Green Party nominee Howie Hawkins came in second behind Ms. Jurgensen, earning more than 339,000 votes nationwide. But these three candidates were not only ones with the long shot bids for 2020, not even close. They joined more than 1,200 candidates to file presidential run with the Federal Election Commission this year. Did you know them philosophy quotes I just give you? They come off the top of my head. I've written loads, absolutely loads. I could go and get my book and read it, which is in my front room. That was all up there. Memorizing. The last one I just said was literally off the cuff. Off the cuff, I say. Off the cuff, I say. I visualised that in my head as I just said the other one. But I've written that other one a long time ago. It's things that you enjoy doing, you remember note by note. So when I sing my songs, I remember some of my songs note by note. But that's what you do. That's when you're academically in charge of any situation. I could tackle the audience, talk about, I go, what's hydropolitics? You're like, what? What hydro? Swimming pool? Swimming pool. Catching lead cell. They wouldn't know. A lot of people would know. I could tackle a lot of things in politics. If you don't know, that's why I'm here to help you know. Politics is in our everyday life, whichever way you look at it. Try and avoid politics. You can't. You're going to work. You're spilling oil out your car. Well, that's not very environmentally friendly, is it? It's in everyday life. You need to be brushed up on politics. COVID-19 lockdown opportunity to fix England's roads. If you're not driving to work, you get public transport. You still need to know the politics of the transport, how it runs. Also, your safety measures. Who's driving the car? Who's driving the car? Who's driving the bus? Could be a terrorist with a backpack on for you know. When you get on that bus, you're allowed to ask the driver what his name is. I haven't actually done this, but you are allowed to ask the driver what his name is for legal purposes. If he has an accident, you need to know his name. It could be his purpose. Putting a claim in. Who was the driver? Don't know. I was on number 7 bus. So you need to know the driver's name. It's very important that you should know the driver's name. You've got rights. Not important, but you've got to have rights to know his name. Could be a terrorist. from Al Qaeda or whatever. I'm not saying all Al Qaeda terrorists, but some are. COVID-19 lockdowns opportunity to fix England's roads. So are English drivers. English drivers terrorists. Say you had an English driver. He had a fight with Jim down the road at the weekend in the pub. Well, Jim's gonna be a terrorist to Jim. Not Jim. The driver's gonna be a terrorist to Jim as he approached him in his bus and run him over. You need to know the driver's name. You only know the driver as driver of the bus, number 7 bus, but he's run Jim over. You need to. That's another good reason why you need to know the driver's name. Your innocent child sitting on your lap falls out your lap while he runs Jim's head over. You need to know the driver's name. Anyway, Council in England have a unique opportunity to fix the potholes, road conjunctions, and roadside drainage during the lockdown. The AA has said, yeah, they do need to fix the potholes. One of the potholes are fixed down Walton Road. Walton Road. There's a back road that goes to Frinton, a bridge, little humpback bridge. There's that bridge needs to be absolutely fixed. It needs to be rebuilt. It needs to be rebuilt. There's load of potholes up there. There's all them back roads potholes. They need to sort them roads out, and they need to fix the cliffs in Walton by the Naze Tower. The Naze Tower is subsiding. The cliffs of they're evaporating. They're falling. And my uncle lived up the road, and my granddad had a house. I remember it from when I was. He's been there over he's probably been there over 60 years. 60. They've probably been there over 60, 70 years in the family. In the family house. Been there for 60, possibly even longer than that. I don't know. Could be 80, could be 90. Who knows? Anyway, it urged local authorities to ask drivers to move their vehicles to car parks near discussed shops, pubs, and restaurants while repairs take place. Reduced traffic means work could happen safely and without causing congestion. AA President Edmund King said. Council said 10 billion was needed to bring roads up to scratch. The government said it had already committed 2.5 billion for repairs as part of the biggest nationwide program ever announced. I wanted to do a raffle and I wanted to donate some money to. Well, I don't know if they're going to try and support them cliffs from from a rodent. To be honest, yeah. I think a lot of people are posting. I went, it's an act of God, act of the weather. It doesn't matter if their houses end up eroding in and the families sleeping in the bed. That's what people are like nowadays. They just turn out their nose or try and support things. It's ridiculous. All for themselves. They don't live in Walton on Naze. They don't care about the people in the community. The lockdown in England is scheduled to last until 2nd December. Pubs, restaurants, gyms, and non-essential shops are closed, while people are being told not to travel unless it is necessary. Mr. King told the BBC lower traffic levels during lockdown give highway authorities a unique opportunity to fill potholes, improve junctions and road drainage safely and without causing congestion. If this can be done before this colder weather kicks in, it will help prevent further road degradation and all road users, whether on 2 wheels or 4, will benefit. Main roads in England are maintained by Highways England, while councils are responsible for the upkeep for local, usually more minor roads. Mr. King said in residential areas where parked cars and are an obstacle, local authority should seek permission for drivers park in car parks of the pubs, restaurants, shops, or businesses that have been forced to close. According to the Asphalt Industry Alliance's surveys of councils, the proportion of England roads in poor condition increased from 18% in 2017 to 2018 to 21% in 2019 to 20. David Reynard, transport spokesman for the local government association, which represents council in England, said it would take almost 10 billion to bring local roads up to scratch. He called for the government to provide the funding needed to tackle the growing backlog of repairs. In its 1 year spread and review later this month, later for transport spokesperson said, "We know that people want to see potholes repaired in the roads and improved, which is why we've committed 2.5 billion for road repairs as part of the biggest nationwide program ever announced." I mean, I'll say think safety, think first, check your tyre and your PSI limits. This needs to be supported by the government. Absolutely. What's the point of me doing my nose? It might as well go, don't worry, you might as well drive around ball tyres because you're going to get one down the road anyway because there's a pothole there. You're going to burst your tyre. So you've got an argument with the policeman to get pulled over then, yeah? So stop the argument with the policeman. This force the government to fix these potholes to save your tyres. Then you can't make that argument. I went down a pothole earlier, got me a ball tyre. Because it can dent your rim and your tyre and you can get burst tyre as well as you go down the motorway. You know that, didn't you? Happened to me once. I dented my rim of my tyre and then my tyre burst. I was going down the motorway, but luckily I didn't flip my car. I slowed down. Sparks were coming out of my car. Very, very dangerous. Imagine if your loved ones in the car and that happened. I'm scared for life on my own. But if I'm my, kids and girlfriend or wife, whatever you call it at the time, in the car, tyre burst, that is the most scariest moment of my life. But I I don't think I slammed my brake. I think I just let the car slow gradually and pulled over. Because you slam the brakes on when you got a burst tyre, I know full well that would drag to one side and possibly flip the car. So I thought I had a thinking process. Doesn't always work. It doesn't happen in a matter of emergency. You think emergency, didn't you? Slam the brakes on, pull the handbrake up. If I did either that, I'm pretty sure I would have been dead. Because that's, one even tyre, you're flipping over. Absolutely. Anyway, the government has set out that construction can continue during the national restrictions with employers following the COVID secure guidelines. Meaning highways authorities are able to take advantage of quieter roads to maintain and improve the network. During the previous lockdown, quieter roads enabled more highway maintenance work to take place, leading to over 319 miles of resurfacing added. In April, recorded traffic in Great Britain fell to 1950 levels before steadily rising as restrictions eased. Bear with me 2 seconds, ladies and gents. We've got ladies and gents because ladies here. I was a bit sexist there. Sorry about that. I didn't mean it any harm. Absolutely not. Where are we? I'll play a little song. Experts predict road users will decline again, this time around, but with schools and universities still open, the effect is not expected to be as dramatic as before. This song is about the alphabet. It says Professor Johnson's algebra. Why is it algebra? Why is the alphabet? Why have I put out the alphabet as algebra? I bet people question that. Has he made a mistake? Has he made a massive mistake? Is he that stupid? It's called the alphabet song algebra. Listen to the song and see how academically inconstituted the algebra alphabet is, and tell me why.
Are you dizzy, blood? Listen to my algebra. Here we go. A, B, right through to C. Are you ready? Here we go. It's my algebra. Listen and learn the prodigious alphabet. But please don't forget, share and subscribe. And leave a tip at the door on your way out. A is for aristocracy. B is for ballot. But back at school, it was breadwin. C is for the one and only conservatism. D is for democracy. E is for empire. F is for sporting chicken head feminism. G is for globalism. Better get to know this. Brexit will stop to this. H is for head of the state like a Queen Elizabeth II. What do you reckon? I is for independence, like self-discipline, self-maintained and self-motivated. J is for Judaism. We are not anti-Semitism like Jeremy Corbyn. K is for man like the King, Martin Luther. L is for Labour, theory of value. Labour are bad news, hating the Jews. M is for the man flexing, like Malcolm X. N is for a nice treaty. Oh yes, please, Pretty Patel. O is for obligation. Man like Bojo giving out the orders. P is for the biggest judiciary within the UK. It's Parliament. Q is for the monarch of England, like lady like Queen Elizabeth. R is for revolution. S is for MP, girl like Nicola Sturgeon. T is for terrorism. U is for uncertainty. V is for vice president. W is for war. Now we're going to war. X is for an ex-phobia. Y is for young hooligan. Z is for Zionism. That's my version. A brand new edition and a brand new way to teach algebra. Yes, proclamation, news and gatherings with the prodigious, the former Professor Johnson. No nonsense. What you reckon? Tell me your version. You ain't taking over. I'm a Casanova.
How many letters of the alphabet? How many letters of the alphabet? How many vocals in that song? How many choruses in that song? Was also given a government national insurance number at birth. We get given a life. How many years do we have to live? If you get a criminal record, you get sentenced. If you do something wrong, what you get a prison number? How many days, months, years you spend in prison or on probation? You know, that's why I was called that the algebra. We are a number. We was born on a day, we die on a day, month, year, time, all numbers. Every day of your life is involved with numbers. You get a fixed penalty added by numbers, by speeding. You get a fixed penalty by having a gathering of more than your support bubble. You get a number. What's the number today? 7, 11, 220, 1253. Anyway, going at the Prime Minister's last part of the Prime Minister's questions. Hello, Courtney. Would you like to call in shortly before we end the show? That'd be great if you could call in now. We've got one in for nearly hour and a half. COVID. Johnson says COVID statistics irrefutable. Ahmed Nourao. He gets so much hatred towards him. You think being the Prime Minister, I see the Liverpool and Manchester's area, they're going totally against what the politicians are saying. But I'm totally with the politicians. At first, I couldn't really go against them, but at first I thought it was a bit of a conspiracy theory, propaganda, fake news, whatever. After a few months of getting into it, seeing schools shutting down, my mum's old school where she used to teach got shut down. I thought, oh, that's a bit ironic. You know, we're going to have Boris Johnson get COVID-19, Prince Charles get COVID-19, the fastest man in the whole world get COVID-19. You're thinking, wow, is this real? Is this real? The Prime Minister is saying this, be careful, COVID-19, and he's got it. Is this real, or is he just making this up? It's real. It is real. You know, President Trump had it. My friend Adam had it. A friend on my Facebook, her mother died. I'm not going to say names because they could be listening. It is really shocking what's happening globally. Not just locally, not just nationally, but globally. Boris Johnson has defended how COVID statistics are being used after data shown in a presentation to justify lockdown in England had to be revised. I mean, look at the idiots that had a gym open. Right, this guy said, no way in the world gym is causing, COVID-19 patients. Think about going to the gym. You go to the gym, you see people that are going, you got regular goers, right? You got really, really fit gym goers, but they still drink. They still take narcotics. They're injecting steroids. Where are the steroids coming from? Or they're taking food supplements, protein shakes. Where's the protein shakes coming from? It's a possible chance you're still going to have COVID-19. Doesn't matter how fit you are, you could be carrying it. You could be spreading it with other gym goers. Look at the women that wear makeup. Look at the guys that just go there to do cut. Oh, look at my guns. They're looking in the mirror. They're not even working out. They're doing a couple pumps to look good on a Friday night when they meet a girl out, not a night out, or just to look good in front of a camera for a pose on their Facebook. I had pose big time all over my social media. I started Snapchat back then, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I was pose my top. Look at me. I'm a baked bean with muscles. Looking like an idiot. Looking like an idiot. I mean, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I still do my floor work indoors, what I can and what I can do. I'm not able as I used to be, but I'll do my little bits to keep. Got to keep. I've got to keep methodical with everything I do in life. I can't change my ways. Even when I'm 90, I probably do a few things indoors, what I can do. But my feet are, well, my feet have been dead for a long time. My big toenails have fallen off ever since I was a kid. Soon it's going to get to the point where I know full well, my three of my toes, middle one, index toe, and my big toe, toenails are absolutely demolished. A lot of Mother Teresa's toenails. That's how bad my toenails are. They're really, really bad. My toes will possibly fall off as I get older. Doctor said that fingers possibly will. My fingers have absolutely had it as well. But my fingernails are quite fine. Anyway, Boris Johnson. A chart presented at Saturday's number 10 briefing suggested a worst case figure of up to 1,500 deaths a day by December the 8th, well above April's 1,000 peak. This has been adjusted down to 1,010 a day after an error was found. Number 10 has accepted a mistake was made, but the PM said data on the spread and impact of the virus was irrefutable. Speaking during a visit to East Midlands, Mr. Johnson said the number of people being admitted to hospital was climbing fast, having gone up to 25% in the last week. The data is really irrefutable about is happening in the country, he said. The number of deaths, Alice, is on the upward curve. That is unmistakable. More than any time since May, the government has to act. That's why we're taking the steps we are. Conservative MPs opposed to the second lockdown in England, which came into force on Thursday, having questioned the irritability of the modelling used by the government to bolster its case. January and February will be bad. Sometimes we get snow, don't we? It's gonna be hard. The UK statistics regulator says there needs to be more transparency about the data it used to make predictions after emerged figures cited at last weekend's Downing Street briefing were out of date and overestimated deaths. At the briefing, UK Government Chief Scientific Advisor Sir Patrick Vallance presented a graph outlining a range of projections for the COVID death toll over the next month, including one of the Public Health England and Cambridge universities suggesting it could rise as high as 4,000 a day. He also cited two of the other graphs illustrating medium-term projections from the Government's Advisory Committee, SPM, for hospitalisations and deaths up to 8th December. It's why it's important to take restrictions very, very professionally and with adequate sense. On Friday, Day 22 reported that some of the details in the graphs had since been changed. The Government Science Service found an error in the charts affecting the upper limit for the possible outcomes shown by the shaded areas for hospitalisations in the correct upper limit shown was 9,000 instead of 6,200. But the central line was not changed and the government argues that the error did not affect the insights. The PM's official spokesman acknowledged an error had been made but insisted there was an error in their underlying analysis. adding that Mr. Johnson continued to have confidence in a chief scientific advisor. I mean, not all chief scientific advisors are 100% accurate, but they're somewhat accurate because they maintain the people counting from when it started to how it's going to progress through colder months. And some of these scientific advisors can get a molecule of the COVID-19 and see it grow in, one of them monocle glass things. You can see it grow on a cloth or on a such substance. There isn't a chief scientific advisor slides all gave the impression that the worst case scenario is more serious than current data support. But the government case for action does not solely on the future projections of the worst case scenario. Have a blessed day there, Malcolm X. They argue that numbers of people going into the hospitals or dying right now make the sense. Coronavirus hospitals admissions are currently doubling roughly every 3 weeks. Deaths are doubling every fortnight with just over 2,000 reported in the last week. The growth is slower than it is in September and October, but it's still growth. I mean, are you guys at home, are you worried about COVID? We're anxious about COVID-19, aren't we? We go to sleep, we think, I hope my mum and dad don't get it, or hope your loved ones don't get it. I hope your kids don't go to school and they come home, they get it, and bring it home, then you all get it. You all will, or you lose your child even. You're worried. You're worried every day. You're worried sick about getting COVID-19. We're all anxious. We get on with our day best we can. We all do. We have to. We've got no choice. We wake up. We've got to move on. We've got to work on progression. But if you sit and worry too much, your immune system will become weak. But, you've got to keep your mind busy. You've got to keep active as best you can in your support bubble. Go out on your own for your hour, exercise or whatever you want to do. If you do your little bit of exercise indoors rather than going outside to then be with other fitness freaks out running street and cough on you or whatever. If that worries you that much, take your little bike. Go on a bike for an hour. Go half hour one way, come back hour, half hour the other way. Do something, even in your support group, your family. Go for a brisk walk with your dog, or take your cat. Take Whiskers for a walk. There you go. So in the near future, the expectation, not the worst case, is that the daily numbers of deaths will rise and pressure on hospitals will increase. Business Minister Nadeem Sahoui told Sky News the government would strive to improve our graphs and presentations, but the threat facing the NHS from the rise in cases was very clear. The health service in England has been placed on the highest alert level ahead of what its bosses said was a very difficult winter ahead. Speaking on Thursday, the chief executive of the NHS England, Simon Stevens, said there were more than 11,000 COVID patients being tested in hospitals, up to 2,000 at the start of October. By Sir David Spergalter, one of the most respected statisticians in the country, said he had been very unimpressed by some of the data presented in recent times, particularly Saturday's scenario of possible deaths. It was frightening graph and presented these headlines, figures of 4,000 deaths a day, which is terrifying. He told Politics Live on Tuesday, but there are a number of problems. We did not have the sources of these projections, and if you look at the small print, you'll see they were done at the beginning of October, and at least one of the groups have revised their projections. Ladies and gents, almost coming to a standstill, but let me suggest you're all listening. Some of you have been listening longer than others. Interested in politics. You're interested in somewhat politics. You're interested in somewhat politics. It's time to vote. Vote for your national party. Who do you want to vote for? What will make you feel safer during COVID? I mean, my strong advice. I'm gonna be biased because I'm conservative. My strong advice is to be conservative. Conservative has been in the government well before our time. history and history and history of Conservative government. I've always been Conservative because we seem to be more approachable when it comes to criminology, more in charge when it comes to crime, and everything's all about equalities. Everything's respected as equalities. You know, some can sit there and criticise parts of the Conservative Party, but I can't see a way out of not voting Conservative. If I'm honest, I'm not gonna tell you guys what to do, but now's the time to vote for. Got election coming up. You know, bring your local council. Email your local council. You want to register to vote. Register to vote at your local council. Speak to your local MP of your party politics, whichever that may be. Because I'm not going to be too biased because I can't force you to vote for Conservative. If you're Labour, you're Labour. If you're SNP, you're SNP. You're going to be SNP if you're in Scotland, or if you're Scottish living in England. Maybe because that's what you're bred to do. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you all for tuning in. It's been a phenomenal show. I was hoping Courtney was going to call in. She's listening, but she's probably still on the bus. Malcolm X, if you'd like to call in, no problem. I'd like a caller in the show. That'd be great. Just to help the caller once a show would be great. Be phenomenal. Let me see if I've got any listeners on my Podbean. Oh, I've got a few listeners on Podbean. Would you like to call in, ladies and gentlemen? Hello there. Anyone like to call in? Okay, I'm going to end that show, guys. It's been a long show. I'm really thankful for the listeners. Hoping to get more callers in the near future. Bring your ideas of what's going on in your constituency, or about politics in general. Politics in general. Talk about the environment. Talk about suburban areas that you're brought up in. Things that you're lacking in suburban areas, opportunities. There wasn't funding for what you needed, or whatever. Come on, task the speaker. Thank you. Take care. God bless. Have a wonderful, pleasant weekend, ladies and gents.